Oh my God, you look like you're about to... Oh no, I thought there was a parachute attached to you.
Yeah, I'm about to parachute off now. I'm just wearing my dungarees.
She's one of them Wolfwalkers.
Wolfwalkers?
How has life changed? Have you been able to enjoy this? You've been on Apple TV Plus, Bafta nomination, Oscar nomination. Does it just feel a bit of a blur?
Yeah, and it's particularly weird that we haven't really, nothing's changed except because we're still at home and we're still working from home, and like yourself, I'm sure everything is Zoom land and everything. So it's strange. There's some nice things about it because we don't have to travel and have jet lag and be away from family and stuff, but it's probably the most widely acclaimed of all the movies we've done. So it feels like that anyway right now. So that's been lovely and surreal. And honestly, you know, it's been a rough time for a lot of people, so it's nice to be the good news story, you know.
Do you think you would have enjoyed the extra attention, or are you somebody who's like, leave me alone?
I don't know if I'd have enjoyed the extra attention. I think it can be quite stressful in a way, because I remember deciding the last Oscar run we did with The Breadwinner, I didn't drink at all, because I realised I was putting extra pressure on myself, trying to be presentable and chat and remember people's names and drink wasn't a good combo. So, you know, it's a funny thing. It looks like parties and everything like that, but actually it's kind of work, because you know you're there representing a film and all these other people's work, and you know there's opportunities that might come from who you meet, but you don't know when or where, so you have to be kind of always alert or whatever. I don't know.
That's interesting, because I always think people are either up for a laugh or they just sit on their own tables and they're so like, let's not mingle, let's look really serious. So it's super cool to imagine that actually some people do mingle and network and are a bit more friendly with each other.
Well, the best thing for me was always meeting people that were my heroes, whether it was like animation heroes, like meeting Pete Docter and stuff the first time. I remember meeting Michael Keaton at the Oscars when I was nominated for Song of the Sea, and because he was Batman to me when I was a kid, it was just exciting. You know, so things like that, you never kind of grow out of that. And especially if, I think because we're not based in London or New York or LA or any of the main centres, we're always a little bit, tiny bit of that kind of fish out of water feeling. Which I think is what I think people enjoy as well.
The ones that can talk to wolves with some wild magic.
You can come out now. We can smell ya. You stink.
You and Ross, like, I find it super interesting that you guys have been mates since you were kids and you've not killed each other.
I mean, that's different even than my partners in the studio, because Ross is kind of an artist in his own right, a painter and everything. And so he kind of takes time away from the studio and works on his painting and comes back. But I think that's quite healthy for him and for me and him, because we've known each other for so long. And I think I always felt, you know, when you're a kid, you're kind of in competition in a friendly way with the other kid who's good at art. And so that's kind of continued into our adult lives in a healthy, I hope in a healthy way, and maybe extend it out to some of the other people we work with in the studio. So I think it's, you know, friendly competition in a positive way.
Who's the worst? Who's like the really competitive one from the two of you?
Oh, me. I mean, I'm the one who has to be. Like, Ross is just so good at everything. He's fucking annoying and he's a brilliant musician and stuff too. So I've always been the one who's trying to catch up to Ross.
Not with him.
You're a wolfwalker. You're a wolf when you sleep. What? A girl when you're awake.
When I was a teenager, I was insane for superhero comics, American superhero comics, and I was totally Team DC back then. I only read like Wolverine and X-Men, but mostly I was like, no, I don't like Marvel, I love DC. And at the time in the 90s, DC was really happening. There was a lot of exciting stuff. The late 80s, I kind of missed. I was a bit too young, but then when I got into it, it was Frank Miller had done The Dark Knight. He had done Year One with Batman. Batman, the 89 movie, Tim Burton movie came out, and then DC was the thing. Be translated to mainstream. I've never liked it as much. I don't know. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, for me, that was the Batman I wanted to see since I was a teenage Batman fan.
What? Sorry to interrupt, but what did you love about? I mean, I agree with you, but what did you love about what Christopher Nolan did?
Well, he took it seriously, and I think for me as a teenager, I always cared. Like my friends would mock me. It wasn't cool to be into superheroes back then. My friends would mock me for being into it because they imagined, Batman, Adam West, really campy, which is fun and great. But what I loved was Tim Burton took it seriously, Frank Miller took it seriously, Christopher Nolan took it seriously, and I really enjoyed the genuine emotion of it. And then I think after that, I've always thought Batman was a difficult character to do in live action. And then you put him side by side with it's a bit like Scarlett Johansson's character in the Avengers. It's like a cool, interesting character. But if they're side by side with like someone with godlike powers, it doesn't really work.
Looking at Zach's situation, what I loved was the fans started this hashtag Schneider's Cut. And they forced this on Warner, which is a big studio, to have to bring Zach back and make the film or put out the film he wanted to make. You as a creator, have you, Tom, ever been in a situation where creativity was taken off you? And did you then walk off a project, or do you feel like you have to make compromises? You're never going to be allowed to see your vision through all the time?
I have no envy whatsoever for those people who try and work with these franchises that belong to huge mega corporations and satisfy a fan base. Like, there was a lot of people looking for Wolfwalkers sequels and stuff, and I felt very powerful in that I could say, no, I don't feel like doing that, And I've always been like, by virtue of trying to run our own independent studio, I've ended up never really having to answer to anyone. And that was my biggest fear with Apple, that this is a big company and would they try and impose their vision on Wolfwalkers, and they were very good about not doing that. So it's been always really important to me to just do my own thing. And I think when I was a kid, the idea of like directing a Batman movie would have been the ultimate, and I loved the animated series. But I think now I really value having my own creative voice and final say and final cut. So I prefer to work in lower budget independent stuff rather than have to deal with, I think it must be so hard.
It's so interesting. I find, it's fascinating. I think I would be the same as you, like less money, more control, more money, more cooks that you don't need, right?
Robin, something's happened to me. Yeah, I can see that. It's flippin' great. You're a wolf now. Be a wolf.
We constantly have this argument about, do we really care about critics and awards? But I think most creative people kind of do. When they don't get nominated, they get quite pissed off. But does it just kind of validate you in, finally everyone's seeing that what we're doing? Or were you guys quite comfortable living in your world, doing well and being able to pay your bills, doing what you loved all these years?
That's a good question. And that's a question that the studio is facing now, because we have the problem of success where 10 years ago we might have been really desperate for some of the opportunities that now we're just too busy to even take up on. And it is interesting, and it's trying to get that balance right where you don't take on too much and get too big so you lose sight of what you were doing in the first place. But I do see lots of other indie movies that weren't nominated this year that were really beautiful, and I do feel for them because it means so much. Like, in one sense, the awards, yes, it's just nonsense. What's the best? Because all movies are good, and my favorite might not be your favorite, so it's weird. But on the other hand, it is so helpful for boosting the signal, especially of independent films. So yeah, it's an ambivalence there, and I mean, for us, we're on the right side of it, and it's just fantastic, and it means so much to all the artists here. I think in Kilkenny, the fact that artists that they might be going, wow, they're the best in the world in Disney, Pixar, also think that what we're doing is good. I think that means a lot. There's a lot of peer-to-peer respect, which is lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I did notice one of your competition in the Bafta category. I know I'm being over dramatic. Also in the Oscar category is Soul, and Mr. Kent Powers and you are following each other. So are we going back and forth some shots on DMs about, mate, we're coming for you, like that? I thought that was really nice. But yeah,
that's the thing I find hard with Soul is that I love it, and it spoke to me as sort of arriving at that point in midlife as an artist, I related to the story. And then I know there's another relevance for people in America who are people of color. It's not my lived experience, but I can see why that would mean a lot to them, that a character is treated respectfully and well in a mainstream movie like that. So I can see why it's a great contender. I mean, we're going to give it a lash. We'd love to win, and we're not going to just roll over and go, I'll give it to Soul. But definitely, I mean, if it's just between us, there's other amazing nominees. But if it was just between the two of us, I wouldn't have any shame to lose to them, because they're amazing. Like, I think they're amazing filmmakers. And but, you know, we made our film for, what's crazy to me, we made our film for, I think, 10% of the budget they said they had for theirs.
I want us to like push that everyone realizes there's so much power in the fact that you're all in the same category, but the process would have been a lot different.
Yeah, and a lot of free. I think Pete is lucky as a director, and I guess Kemp too, when he came in as Pete's co-director, that he's in a position that's rare, I think, in mainstream animation in the States, where he gets to tell personal stories without too much interference. So Pete's very lucky, because in a way Soul is more like a European movie, but it had 150 million budget. We had 10 million euro budget, so, you know, it's not the same, and yet we're there side by side, which is amazing.
You have to leave. No way, I scared him off.